I'm Linda Segerstam, and these are my exercises for winter wellness. So before we start, I'm just going to give a few tips of how to get the most out of the exercises, and then we just go straight in for the exercise. So you can go back and check again that you did the technical stuff right. So I'm going to lie down on the floor, and I'm going to look at our neutral spine and imprint, which is part of all the exercise that we do. So just place yourself onto the floor, and then I'm going to increase the curve in my spine just to show you how much space I can have. So I'm lifting my back off the floor, maybe using my back muscles a bit at the moment, which is not the way I want you to do it. And then I'm going to drop the rib cage and then drop the stomach muscles down. So I'm coming into my neutral spine, which has got a bit of space, but I pushed down with my abdominal muscles to get there. Now, what we call imprint is when the back is moving towards the floor by using your stomach muscles, and then coming back past your neutral, which will be a standing position, and then turn the pelvis a little bit more to increase the space. So in all those positions, you want to make sure that your stomach muscles are supporting the movement, especially when we start lifting legs and adding arms and coordination. So neutral spine, breathing out, filling the stomach muscle support movement, and then your imprint is your back towards the floor, but it's your stomach muscles pushing down, not the back pressing hard. Okay, so that's the most important part of all the technical stuff that we do in Pilates. So I'm going to start standing. So standing is great to warm up for winter wellness. So I'm going to start by just placing my feet nice and wide, and I'm going to start rotating. So rotating around the spine and letting the arms go around the body, and you can squeeze more or less into your glutes. So glute muscles, allowing the feet to turn as well. So it can sometimes look like quite a light and easy exercise, but what you're doing is getting all the right muscles working. So I'm going to swing my arms high and see how the shoulders are feeling about weight, and then start thinking a little bit more about golf. So keeping the arms and chest together, and the squeeze and the support is coming from my core and from the buttock muscles. So you can add the speed that you like. I'm just going sort of average speed, and then letting the arms come round again. And then squeeze one buttock, squeeze the other. And add the tempo that you need if you're playing a really cold winter morning, or if it's kind of a bit warmer in the sunshine or somewhere abroad. So keep going for a few more. So I'm going to lift my arms high and reach. Good, last one, both sides. And then come back to your starting position. I like roll downs. They really gives us an idea of how our spine is moving. So you can bend your knees if you need to. So I'm standing tall. I'm putting some weight into my toes as well as heels. And then I'm going to start to roll, soften the chest, scooping my stomach muscles up, and then see if we can find space in the whole back to find a nice even curve. And then move towards the floor or into the floor if you have the flexibility, and then roll back up again. So stomach muscles lift, the back goes back into position, and the head ends up on top. Two more. So roll down, stomach muscles scoop in, and when feeling the knees support, they bend the knees, and then feel the glute muscles maybe supporting a bit more as well. So that's sort of lighter. And as you lift up, if it feels good, you start pushing the knees back and then roll back up through the spine. So I'm going to do one more. I'm going to add my hands behind the legs now. So I'm going to glide down without touching the bum, keeping legs long without locking the knees, and scoop the stomach muscles. Breath in and then breathe out to reach down. Breathe in at the bottom and then breathe out to come back up again. So roll, lift, and then come back to a nice standing position. So I'm going to come down to the floor straight away and then start working on those important glutes and stomach muscles. So if you need a cushion, you place under your head, not too much under your head if you can. So I'm starting with rolling up and down. Obviously easier way to do this. So if you need the technical way of doing this, please look at my videos and my live class. You can join them too. So I'm going to go all the way down using my stomach muscles to warm them up. Arms back, lift the arms into your curl up, imprint in off your back, and then lift back up again. So that means that we have to warm stomach muscles need to start working straight away. The toes don't have to be on the floor if you have your feet, let us know. So So I'm reaching forward, scooping in, breathing out, stomach muscles support, and then come back to seated. 2 more. Breath in, roll the tailbone down, check your cushion is in the right position, arms back, lift the arms, soften the back of the shoulders, reach forward, breathe out, lift, and then go high and tall if you can. One more time, C-curve to roll back, to all the way to the floor, and then take the arms back, lift the arms, and then breathe out, lift, and then come all the way up to seated. Good. We're going to stay down, so we're going to roll down into the floor, and then taking the arms down by your side. If that felt really tricky and you struggled a bit, we could have used the arms as well to hold one leg or both legs. So coming into hip rolls. So knees and feet are in line and they are separated, and then I'm going to start rolling my knees and hips. So for those of you that are very flexible here and there's lots of movement, I want you to think about what's supporting your movement so you don't drop down to the floor. Gravity will take us there anyway. So I'm thinking about, okay, stomach muscles, oblique muscles, stopping the movement from just dropping out, and then start going with a nice fine rhythm. So moving out to the side, breath in, breathe out, lift the knees, and then rotate. For those of you who are more advanced and you've done some before, you can lift the spine too. Spine, hips and knees. Knees, hip and spine. And then drop the ribs down, hip and knees. One more time. So it's a sequence, but it's a very controlled to start with. And then we bring the arms down by the side. Coming straight into a bit of glute and buttocks to see how we're doing. So we're lifting, turn the pelvis slide towards you. You're in an imprint. And then you lift your tailbone. And they roll up. So I've got a small cushion. If you have a big block, please remove it. And then roll back down into the floor. So I can feel, okay, actually I could do this without the cushion. So I'm going to take it away and do the same thing. Roll up and come up towards the ceiling. Hold the top position and then roll into the floor again. Okay, so we are moving sequentially again, just trying to see how the body feels about using glutes and hamstrings. And as you come to the top position, you're going to stay and think, okay, is it sort of hanging from the top or are you supporting from the bottom? You're trying to support from the bottom. So if you feel everything sort of hanging into the front of the legs, let's see if we can find a squeeze and hold that position. Now, if that's enough, you stay there. I'm going to also lengthen the arms out, drop the shoulders away from the ears, and I'm going to do some little squeezes. So I'm going to let the hip dip and then squeeze, lift. Dip down, squeeze, lift. If the muscles go very quickly into your hamstring, you might get a cramp. So again, lower the hip a little bit low, go a little bit lower, and then work there. So I'm going to go high, and see if I can find that height, and then go slightly down and squeeze, lift. For 5, hello glute muscles. Good. Last 4, lift, and then 3, and 2 more. Squeeze, lift up. So it's a gentle squeeze and a quick squeeze, and we hold it and see if we can maintain that position. Arms are still down by your side, elbows and hands softly pressing down. And now I'm going to roll down from the chest. So chest softens, mid back, the lower back and the hips, and then come back to your neutral spine. Now, we are golfers. We need to do things one-sided. So we're going to come to that in a moment. But first of all, we're going to come off the floor. So you can stretch your legs out and come up rolling, same as you did before, both legs lengthened or coming up with the knees bent, or you can turn sideways. I'm going to lift from here. So as I'm lifting up and I feel, okay, I can't lift up from here. If I have the strength, I can. If not, you're going to glide one foot in, hold the back of the knee, and then lift up and then push the leg away and then reach for your toes. Good, and then we change position. So we warmed up the glute muscles. We are starting to look at, okay, stomach muscles and side. So coming onto your side and place the elbow down. And we start with our series in our side plank. So bit of lift from there. Always take a break when you need to. So lifting up with the hip and then place the hip back down. Lift the hip. So there are lighter versions if this is too much. So please take it down. Or look at the gentle series that I'm doing. If you feel, yep, this is good, you keep moving. And then tap the hip down. So we lift and then tap the hip down. We can add the arm, reaching up, and then tap the hip down. So there's movement around your shoulder blades, around your back. Just make sure you hold support position in your back as much as you need for your shoulder. So shoulder blades glide in and down for 2. And then dip down one more time. And then we're going to release the muscles. We're going to come down, we're going to press up, and then support with a hand and lift into your mermaid or side bend. And then take the arm the other way. So I'm not going too quick. Now, if you know this rhythm, you know this exercise, you just keep moving. I'm going to just keep my body flowing from side to side. There. Good. And then over to the other side. Again, lots of technical ways of doing this. And then lift the arms up. Ta-da. Okay, and then change side. So swivel the legs over. So for us golfers, it's very important to get the strength here and into our back too. So if you didn't already, you're going to think about how your back muscles can move the shoulder blades down and in. Stomach muscles support, squeezing in, and we start again. So we lift off the floor and then tap down to the floor. So I'm letting my knees separate a bit, so I'm not pressing my knees hard. And there's movement in your back. So again, don't go to the loss of movement if it feels okay, this is too much for your shoulder. Shoulder blades glide in and down. Back supporting, maybe a bit more connection that you usually have here. And then stomach muscles supporting with the obliques. And then tap, lifting the arm if that feels good. So this is already going into a little bit more intermediate. So if you're happy there, keep going. For 4. And down. 3. Don't hold your breath. And 2. Down. One more time. And then place the hip down, we push away, separate the knees, lift up, and then continue moving into your mermaid position. Here, if knees don't like it, lengthen out the legs in front of you. Otherwise, it's just a flow. Bend your elbow, and then breathe out, lift over to the side. Good. Keep moving. Lots of technical stuff in the mermaid too, but we're just going to go through the movement today. So over. And then lift one more time, over, and then lift, and then bringing the arms out to the side and say, there you are. You're nice and lengthened through the shoulders. So we change position, we work with the legs. We're going to just press the knees together and then lengthen the legs out. You can have the arm lengthened out with a cushion in between your arm and ear, or go into the more advanced position. So I'm going to do that. So lifting up with the elbow, so I lift it up a bit higher. Connect into your core. Bottom knee is going to bend slightly for this version. And then we're going to zip up things and then start to lift the leg off the floor. Now I'm adding a little bit of pace. For those of you that haven't done this much before, you can slow it down. Or if your body likes a bit of pace, you go for pace. But just check that your hip is not rocking in and back. It's staying stable. And then we float. Again, shoulder blades nicely gliding in on your back. So use your muscles on your back, gliding them down, and then holding that position. Breath in, and then breathe out, scooping up, narrow that waist, and feel your stomach muscles support this. Now comes the circle. So take a break if you need to, otherwise straight into the circle, and then rotate around the hip. If it feels super wobbly, things are happening around here, holding the hip, hand onto the floor, or even resting down is going to help you stabilize. Glutes. So I said, golfers, we need glute muscles. They need to support us here too. We're going to change direction now. So go the other way. Lift up and then come forward. Breath in. Breathe out to finish that circle. Good. So obviously we can make things harder or easier within all the exercises. But I'm trying to focus on what I need for my golf game, which is obliques, stomach muscles, stability around the back, and the leg moving nice and freely, even if there's a bit of weight there. Okay, and then bringing the knees and feet in, relax your shoulder, and we change sides straight away. So roll onto the other side, or come with me as I turn into the other side with a swivel, and then lengthen the arm. Again, the arm can be here with a cushion in between, stacked, or into a sort of more intermediate position with both hands. So turning on your stomach muscles, lifting up from your obliques, check your shoulders are stacked, bottom knee slightly bent, and then start floating up the leg. And then trying to keep that hip nice and stacked so it doesn't pull in towards your rib cage. Now, the rest of the body, nice and lengthened. So lift up and tap, lift and tap. The rhythm and pace depends on your strength, which means you need to think about what you can do here. We need to support a bit from our glute, even if we're going to straight up and down. And thus creating that strength in the hip to do that. Now comes the circle. So either go straight into it, take a break. So rotate, lift, and then go behind you without kicking anything. So rotating back and then trying to keep the body nice and stable. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger and see if I can still stabilize through my core and through those oblique muscles on the side of the ribs. So go round. And then we change directions. So go back. I've got my knee slightly bent underneath, which means I can use it. I'm pressing down at the same time. There we go. Now the hip wants to start wobbling around a bit more because I've been keeping this movement going. So step up a bit more and let's see if we can stabilize it for 3. And then 2. And then 1. And then we bring the legs together. A couple of seconds to have a break and then lift up again. So legs, glutes and core. We're going back into a roll back down onto the floor. So you can make it lighter by rolling, holding the legs or floating them forward. And then we turn on those stomach muscles. I'm going to go slow for 6 and 5 and 4. Soften the chest and 3 and 2, 1, and then shoulders down, arms down. So from here, shoulders and arms, and thinking about our mobility, also important in our backswing. So we're going to lift the arms up like we're holding a plank. So 1 and 2, and just focus a bit on our forearm. So we're going to rotate the hands out to the side and then towards your knees. You can actually hold blocks here if it feels bit more real to hold the blocks, or you can imagine the blocks there and then rotate down towards your knees and toes. So I'm allowing my wrists, my elbows and the shoulders to rotate and just see if I'm getting rotation everywhere or if something is sort of getting a bit stuck, and then come back again. Relax the arms, take hold of one arm so you keep the shoulder still, and then we just do the same and just see, is there rotation through the elbow and then through the wrist, and keep that wrist hinge if you can. Okay, there, I can feel both stretch and strength through that arm. And then change side, relax it a bit, flexing the wrist, holding the top of the arm so the shoulder stays still, and see if we can still rotate in the wrist and the elbow joint. So one more time here, just keep it moving. One more, maybe we did 3 on the other side, so we turn and then come back and then relax the arms down by your side. Stomach muscles now coming into those imprint and neutral spines. So turn your stomach muscles on by feeling your abdominal muscles squeeze in. Some of you will feel narrowing of the waist or maybe tightening that belt buckle or sipping up. All these things are part of it. So we take another breath in, fill the ribs into the side and then breathe out. Okay, there they are, stomach muscles, hopefully. Lifting one leg, need to carry through abdominal muscles now. Second leg, one leg down if it feels too much with both legs lifted. And then we're going to lift the upper body as well, so hundreds. So one leg can be down, it's much more supportive. Arms go up, I'm going to lift my head and shoulders and push my arms towards the floor, and I'm going to bounce up and down. So obviously you're going to stay here too. So I'm lifting up, I'm breathing up. Think about pushing water away with my arms. Back might go into the floor a bit more, heels together, and I'm starting to push down into the floor. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it gets too tough on the neck, because you need to lift, 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 you place one hand behind. So it's still your core working rather than just focusing on the neck. Harder version, we lengthen the legs out. So you can come out of it and come back in. I'm going to push out on my out breath and then keep going with the arm. Breathing in, breathing out. Keep going, a few more if you can. It's a long breath in, long breath out. And you can change arm if you just had your arm behind. Put a twist here. 2 more sets of in and out. Lower the legs for harder. Breath in. Breathing out. Good, and we come out of it. Bring everything back in again, head and shoulders down. So hundreds can be done in many different ways. You build up from 1 foot down on the floor, arms just floating, and the head and shoulders. And then we take in the feet down 1 and 2, and then we come into coordination. So a double leg stretch. So legs are going to come up with a coordination, 1 and 2. And then we're going to push the legs away. So again, we can push one leg away and see if we can use our core. And then press the other leg away. Breath in to return. Your back can be flat on the floor using your abdominal muscles into your imprint or in neutral spine, if that makes sense to you in this moment. If you've done Pilates before, okay, and you feel, yeah, I can stay in neutral. Or you just gently press the back towards the floor with your stomach and then return. So if the knee comes closer in towards your chest, it's going to be easier than if your knee stays further away and you're pushing out from there. So we go slow and think, okay, can we use our core? Breath out, breath in to return, breathe out, breath in to return. Now, if you feel strong, you can take a break and take the feet down in between. We're going to push both legs out. I'm going to let my heels and toes go closer together. I'm going to let the knees stay slightly apart, and I'm going to push up towards the ceiling. And then bring the legs back in. Much tougher now, so if this feels too much, keep going with one leg. And then doubles if it feels good. Breathe out. And then breath in to return. The hands can support as well. Thumbs underneath your bum, fingers, palms facing down. And then push from there. And then return. The closer the knees come in, the easier it gets. So if you want to recover, the knees go fully in and then push out again. And then return. So I'm breathing out to lengthen in this variation, and then breath in to return. 2 more. Breathe out, and then breath in to return. So the hands are supporting the hip, and then come back, and then we roll the knees into the chest, hands on top of the knee. So you might have found your back worked a little bit too hard there. That's the key here, that we're trying to use abdominal muscles and use the right weight for our body. Now let's rotate and calm that back down a bit. So core, glutes, and we've also done a little bit around shoulders, change direction, and then we're going to rotate around. So we've got rotation to go. So we're going to find a way to rotate. You can either do arm openings, you can do thread the needle. So we can find different ways of doing it. We're going to come up to kneeling. So coming off the floor here, hands behind the knees, get ready to either roll forward or feet down, roll sideways to lift. Hands behind, lift the head and shoulders, roll up, and then come into seated. And then we're going to swivel the legs behind. So swivel, and then bring yourself to kneeling. Cushions underneath your knees if your knees don't like to be pushed down into the mat, unless it's really soft like mine. So rotation, bringing one foot forward into a sort of half kneeling position. And then we're going to push the hip just a little bit further forward. The arms come in front, and then I'm going to rotate bow and arrow. So I'm going to glide the hand in towards the chest, and I'm going to rotate away from the arm in front, and then reach the arm behind, and then push the arm, and then return it forward again. So glide, open, reach, and then return the arm. You can feel the hip and leg muscles probably work too if you have your hips slightly pushing forward. So a bit of glutes, a bit of core to stabilize, and then rotate in your spine. We're going to change to the other side by keeping the knee still. So we glide the hand into the chest, rotate your chest, reach the arm out, and then turn and let the arm come forward. So glide, open, breathe out, reach, and return the arm. One more time. So we'll make this more challenging as well. Right now we're just focusing on our upper body rotation, and we're going to change sides. So just change the knee, one knee down, one leg up. And again, bit of push forward, bit of lift from your core, bit of glutes support, bit of feet as well, arms in front, and starting to turn towards the easier side. So hand in front, rotate, open, and then push the arm forward. So if this feels tricky, this is the level that you stay on. Just make sure this becomes easy. Where are your shoulders? Can you rotate nicely around the spine without things coming out of place? If we change sides, so glide, rotate, reach, and then let the arm come forward. So glide, rotate, and reach, and take the arm forward. So for those of you that don't want to do the next level, which is the harder version, you're going to come into cat. So 4-point and just do the cat movement. So I'm going to lift up now into lunge position. So I'm coming up to standing and I'm stepping back 1 foot. So this is the next level in this class. So we let the knee bend higher or lower. And then think about the hips supporting, core active, and doing exactly the same, 2 on both sides. So lifting the arms up and then bring the hand into the chest, rotate, keeping the hip pointed forward a little bit as well. Open the arm and chest and return the arm coming forward. Glide the hand, breathe out, open the chest, reach and return the arm. Change side, so the hand glides into the chest, core is active now, reach out, and return, lower knee, harder work with legs. I haven't got very bendy toes, so my toes are not in exactly the perfect position. And then we lift up, step together, and then change side. So very much more active in our legs. The foot on the front is going to go slightly more in that corner. Get yourself in a good lunge. Again, my toes don't bend, so don't look at my foot. So pushing the hips slightly forward, core active, soften the shoulders, chest, lifting the arms. Easiest side first. Slide the hand into your chest, rotate, open the chest and the arm, and then push the arm forward. So we've got core, stomach muscles, we've got glutes and quads working. Loss of balance in this one. Change side, so glide, pushing the tailbone down, open, and then return. So core, core, core here, turn, the hand in front, open the chest, and then push forward, and then we lift, and then we step together. Okay, coming down to the floor. So if you've done lots of cats now, we're going to come down flat on the floor for our back muscles. So bring yourself down onto the floor. You can roll down to the spine, push the hands forward, lengthen out the legs, and then place your hip down, chest down, nose down. So straight into our cobra prep. So legs lengthen. Think about growing taller from your hip. Open the front of the hip, maybe a little bit of squeeze at the top of the glutes into the inner range, and then we lift the head, back of the head and the chest, feeling that your bottom ribs are glued to the floor. So we just do cobra prep. Lift the nose, lift the chest, and then place your chest down and your nose down. So as you float up, imagine that you've got a big ball on the back of your head that you're pressing away, and then place your chest and nose down. Really just feel length on the front of the body. Right, and then come down in towards the floor. Take the arms down by your side. Dart is a great exercise for shoulders. Turn your head to one side, so you get a neck roll. Wiggle about a bit so you know where your hips are. And then turn to the other side and just get a neck roll there, just to see what the neck is doing. Now our start position with the arms and shoulders rounded and the toes in and the heels falling out. So we're going to start with the legs. We're going to squeeze the buttocks and roll the knees and feet into parallel. So roll in, squeeze into your glutes so they contract, and then roll out again. The arms, we're going to stay low with the upper body and lengthen out through the front of the chest. And then lift your shoulders, lift the elbows and lift the hands, and then roll the heels in and maybe lift the legs if that feels good in your body. So you're flying through the air with the palms turning in towards the body. And then legs down, hands, elbows, shoulders, nose down. Heels falling out. We roll the heels back with a squeeze through buttocks, and then open up the front of the hip, lift the shoulders, lift the elbows, lift the arms, reach, and then fly through the air again. And now find your tempo. So you come down and then lift, soft breath out. The higher you go, the more you'll work into your mid-back. So if you want to stay low and just lift your arms, is focusing on that upper back. Ladies, you have boobs in the way, so some of you will have your head left behind quite far down. So just think about adjusting that position first and then lifting up. and then come down into the floor. So I'm going to lift and I'm going to hold. I'm going to let my arms float a bit higher and see if I got strength to do that. These are add-ons now for those that are more advanced. Press the legs closer together, hold the position, and keep breathing. I think if you can lengthen and stay, maybe take the arms a bit wider from the body and then float and hold. Breath in, breathe out. Good. One more breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and then come down into the floor. Turn the head to one side. We finish as we started. Toes in, heels out, arms down the floor, shoulders relaxed. Lift the head and turn the head to the other side. And then turn the nose down. Slide the hands next to your chest. And then we lift up. And then we press back towards the heels. So hips down. If you need a cushion or block, you sit on it. And then let the arms lengthen in front of you. So if this is not comfortable in your body, you're going to keep the hips higher and just stay here. You still have a bit of support from stomach muscles, so you're not bending massively into your mid lower back, unless that feels nice. We slide down. If you're sitting down to your heels, you're going to take both arms out to the side and reach and open up that one shoulder. If you're lifted, you can also do that, but you can take one hand as support and then reach over, so it's a little bit less weight into your mid back. So support and reach over, and then come back in the middle if you don't both sides, and then we glide. We sit back towards the heels, open up the knees slightly, and roll back into a seated position. So those were exercises that are very useful to build up a program with and see how you go. I tried to put a couple of extra, a little bit harder challenges in there too for those that have done Pilates before. But if you try to do this and see how your back muscles are starting to feel, see if you can get that nice freedom around your shoulders and chest. Don't push your head forward and chest forward and shoulders back. Think about the chest lifting slightly so the head ends up on top of the spine, and then softly place your shoulders back. And that is the position that we're hoping to walk around in, which means you need to use your back muscles in those two exercises at the end. So core, glutes, back, hips, and legs all together. Have a nice week, and hopefully you can join me again.